I can fit about 80 pallets of timber on this one wall. Right now, there's bits stashed all over the workshop. So I'm cutting all of it into 20mm panel stock. Then laminating those panels into big, stable slabs. This monster here, that's 3 or 4 pallets, ready to build with. Kia ora folks, morena, good morning. Welcome to another week in the workshop. This week I have all of this material to process. Fun times. While I'd like to be working on the outdoor pantry or finishing the wheelbarrow or going on to making something a bit more exciting, I think this panel at the end here I made in week 26 and I think we're on week 30 now, so it's time to turn these guys, which are really rough, into level 3 panels. So basically they need to be planed flat and some of them need a lot of work. I'm going to continue on that theme. I think all around the workshop I have little stashes of materials that I just want to get rid of. I want the stuff in the ceiling and under the table saw to be gone, and those areas will just be for drying in the future. And all the little stacks of material that I've got around the place, I want to turn them into panels that I can stack efficiently against the wall. Like I've said in the past, when I make a level 3 panel, which is 3 of these guys sandwiched together, that represents probably 3 pallets per panel, and I can store about 80 pallets worth along my back wall rather than these little caches all over the place. And that's what I'm aiming to get done as quickly as possible. And yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to do. So as much as it's not super sexy, I'm on a mission to get this workshop tidied up. So put all these guys through the planer, dense them up into a big thick slab. I've cleaned out my dust collection, so I should be able to get, what is it, 5 slabs flat. So yeah, that's the mission. Get these guys flat, make another one, get that flat, make another one. Let's just keep rolling through it until all the scraps are gone. That's the mission. Let's do it. This guy here is a pretty nice big slab of material. You'd be tempted to use it. It's flat, probably 18mm thick, but these joints will be weak and they'll fail. So I need to laminate this one more time, and that eliminates the weakness of these guys because they'll be supported underneath by some of the other guys. So yeah, that's why I do it this way. So quick rough laminate, you lose a heap of material, but probably less than trying to make each individual board flat. You still have to mill them, you have to plane them again anyway. So yeah, very pleased with this process. It's been hanging on to this for 4 or 5 weeks, assuming that what I was doing would work, and now I'm very confident. So I need to build a slab that's between 50 and probably 65mm deep. I'm not sure how much these guys have ended up being, but I'll do that with the 3 of them, or the 5 of them, or however many it takes. 3 pallets worth of material in one chunky slab, ready for making stuff out of. I haven't opened up the case since I put the helical cutter head in, and yeah, they look very good to me. I'm not concerned about their sharpness. They're still plenty sharp. Got a bit of resin on, but nothing too terrible. So happy with that. I almost forgot the delivery I got last week. That's going to be a massive upgrade to the shop for safety. So I'll get that installed soon. But first, I've figured out that these 4 are just over 50mm, which is perfect. So I'll throw them in the jig, and yeah, that'll be job 1 done for the day. Let's go. That process took about 24 minutes. Would have been slightly less if I didn't run out of glue. Always start with a full bottle, people. Normally I would like to do that with 3 rather than 4 panels, but I'm using up scraps and that's what you get. Yeah, let that dry up. Move on to the next thing. Now, I know I said I'm on a mission, yada yada, get the workshop tidy, but I've got bolts and I think I can finish this wheelbarrow real quick, so I'm going to do that. What a beast of a wheelbarrow. That'll do for now. Once it's dry, I'll give it another touch up from the other side. But yeah, love the quick. Not such a massive fan of the dirty, but enough with the wheelbarrow already. It'll do. It'll hold together for a while. All right, what's next? Anyone guess what my super special delivery was? That's right. It's the bracket. It's going to let me install the riving knife. Now, this thing hasn't been on my table saw for months and it's been freaking me out. These things are an essential safety feature. Basically, they make sure that when the blade spins this way, right? So the teeth on the back end are coming up towards the person feeding the stuff in. The riving knife basically makes it way harder for the piece of material that you're shoving through to catch on those teeth and throw it back at you, whether that's a jam or whether it just comes past and tilts in front of the blade and throws up. It also, if the board wants to contract after the cut and jam, it's more likely to jam on this than the blade. So yeah, essential piece of kit that I've been missing for a long time, and I'm very keen to get this guy open and install it. So let us see. Hopefully I've bought the right thing. So what happened was my original bracket basically cracked in half. Did it up too tight? No, don't. But yeah, That's the one. So this little guy holds this against a plate on the inside of the machine. This is the original. These are all the things that I pulled off the machine. You can see where it's broken. But I don't actually remember how it goes together. So I'm going to leave that for now. Go and look it up and install that tomorrow. Time to feed some chickens. I'll take you along for that. We'll pick this job up in the morning. I wish it was only the chickens I was feeding. Alright, right folks, I'll catch you in the morning. Morena, good morning. It's already been a productive day in the workshop. I got my riving knife installed. The broken pieces can go in the bin. Got another coat of spray paint on the wheelbarrow, so that'll be finished by this evening. I need to get this guy out of clamps, and then we're looking at taking all of the stock from underneath the table saw and turning it into 20mm thick level 1 panels in the jig. And we're going to try to be a bit smart about it. We're trying to do that with the least amount of cuts possible and the least amount of glue used. Underneath the table saw, most of the stock looks like this. It's the stretches, the chunky bits. It's not all of it, but most of it. So how do we turn this into 20mm strips with the least amount of cuts possible? I think is to cut it, rip it in that direction so we have the widest boards possible. This edge needs to be clean enough to glue once that's done. So maybe clean up the faces, then rip strips this way. I think is what we'll do with most of it. Very first job, clean up the ends, because as I've said before, the better prepared you can get while it's still in its big chunky form, the more efficient it is. Because, for example, if I cut this into 3 strips, then squared the ends, now I've got 6 ends to square, whereas in this form I only have 2. Sorting, squaring, removing defects, ripping, and gluing. Keep forgetting. There's a good volume of timber there. That'll take quite a lot of processing. So first up, cross cut the ends, get them all tidied up, then we'll clean up the sides. I've remembered that these bits of timber in particular are not fun to rip, so I'm going to chop them somewhere along their length as well as square up the ends, just to make it a bit easier to manage. Like for this one, for example, I'll cut this out here where that hole is and all this knotted timber is. It'll give me a piece that's that long and a piece that's that long. And yeah, it just makes it a bit easier to work with when you're ripping, because it's really kind of chewy and it tends to bind. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'll just go through and do the ends on all of this stuff. That's step 1. You can see we've lost quite a lot of volume, but it's already easier to manage and the ends are all nice and square. So that's a good start. Now we'll set up the saw to rip, clean up the edges, then rip to 20mm. We'll start with the big boys. Now, what we're going to do first is, so you've got the wide edge and the narrow edge, and we're going to rip the boards this way. But first, I need to clean up this surface because this is the glue surface. So we'll run them through the table saw in this direction, and then we'll rip them in that direction. Another thing I'm going to do while I'm ripping these guys is to make them all the same width in this direction. So that means once I have my strips cut this way, they'll all be the same width this way. So I've picked out the smallest one, and I'll skim that edge, and then I'll do the same for all the pieces. Then I'll move the fence in a little bit and I'll skim the other edge, and that'll give us two decent surfaces to glue on, and then we'll rip them this way. So yeah, let's just get all that done. We are pleased with that. I think the whole lot took about an hour. So I've got this stack here that are all 20mm, and then this stack here that are something else smaller than. So I can just make a thin panel out of that lot, and I've still got these guys to go. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these ones, but I think I'll just square up the edges and then rip 20mm slices. That's a wrap on that process. Got my 4 stacks of material in order of quality. So these ones here, they're cleaned up on 3 sides at least, sometimes 4. Some of them have one side that's not cleaned up, but that will be planed off once it's turned into a pallet. Nice and wide. They're all 20mm thick. These ones here, cleaned up all around. Ends are squared off as well. So these ones cleaned up all around and squared off. Great stock, but only narrow, 20mm thick. These ones could be any size, but they are 20mm in one direction. So it can be used as filler pieces. These guys are cleaned up on 3 sides. The width is good, not these 2, but everything else. And they can be used to make a thin panel. So they're nice stock, but they're just very thin and not uniform in this direction. That's alright, that just means the panel will end up being as thick as the thinnest one is. So yeah, next we'll glue some of these up into a level 1. Morena. Apologies, last night my phone died while I was gluing this guy up, so I didn't get to show you the end of that. But suffice it to say, it went really well because a combination of these and these in a pattern out that way was the perfect width. So I didn't have to do any more cutting. Basically just laid these out. Because I have different lengths, I can get around about the end. I'm not sure if you can see that there with this in the way, but the end is pretty perfect without having to do any more cuts. So that was great. But the other thing that I did, and I reviewed this morning, is I filmed 2¼ hours of me pushing wood through the table saw. That means I did probably somewhere between 3 and 4 hours of standing up pushing wood through the saw, and I'm knackered. I'm an old bugger. Young bucks probably not a problem at all, but that's enough for me for that kind of work this week. So I'm just going to rest on my laurels. I'm going to take this guy out of clamps. I'm going to put another one in, and then I'm just going to do that for a few days until I have all of this stuff gone. Because it's so easy to put them together, I reckon I could do at least 3 level 1 slabs a day. So that's the goal until all of this material is gone. And yeah, you probably don't need to see that. So I'm going to snap my fingers. The next one will be in clamps, and we'll have a bit of a review of the week. And that'll be it, folks. So there you go. So this panel here is the one that was in clamps last night. So you can see it's come up fairly nicely. Lovely, good, thick, 20mm, nice and straight. Very pleased. I'll pack that away till it has some friends. And then this one here, oh, this is heavy as. Yeah. That's the level 3 blank that we made on day 1. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. It's about 55mm thick, 1.5 meters long, and just over 30 centimeters. Yeah, 300mm this way. So a good chunk of wood ready for making stuff out of. And it's super dimensionally secure because of all the different layers in different directions and different pieces that make it up. It's going to stay straight. Oh, doesn't give me a hernia. So that's the goal. And there's like 3 to 4 pallets worth of wood stored in one of those. So yeah, and the one that I've got in clamps hardly made a dent on the pile of good stock. So I've probably got another 3 or 4 to go before I run out of that material. So it's a good haul. All right, one final thing for the week. Let's have a look at this wheelbarrow. Now this is the epitome of I'll just quickly kind of jobs. And as a result, I guess I'm not super proud of it, but it'll hold up. I think the timber that I've put in for the feet will probably outlast the next piece of metal that's going to fail. So in that regard, it's pretty good. But it took me 2 weeks to finish. I thought it would take me, what, half an hour? Anyway, it's all good. This is what happens. And this is all experience. So I've got to do angles and use the jigsaw and remember that you can get pretty good results with a jigsaw. I tend to go for the table saw because it's precise. Anyway, let's put this guy back where he belongs. And yeah, that's going to be it for the week. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you have, give us a like and a subscribe. That'd be absolutely wonderful. I don't know what the hype is, but I think it's a thing. So if you're up with the cool kids, give it a hype. And yeah, next week I'm 100%, yeah, don't quote me on this, but I'm 100% going to make the rubbish bin box for the outdoor pantry. So hope to see you there. Catch you next week.